Hello, I-71. How are we doing? We all having a good time? Are you having a good time? Yeah? Are you having a good time? Of course you are. You're smiling, so you're definitely having a good time. All right, so our next slot, ladies and gentlemen, is going to be an exciting one. Football Manager is one of the most played games every single year. And this year it's seen more concurrent players than ever before in the franchise's history. There's been attempts at world records previously, but none quite like this. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome me in joining us to the stage, the host of this next segment, John, who's going to talk us through how these guys managed to attempt to break a new world record, 48 hours for a sports game. These guys have tried to break that by playing Football Manager for longer than 48 hours. Ladies and gentlemen, put your hands together for John.
Thank you very much, Simon. Hello, hello, and welcome as we're about to witness world history. We here at Joe and Mitchum set ourselves a task of potentially beating the world record for the longest sporting gaming marathon. Oh, thank you very much. And we only had one person in mind that could potentially do that task. So how about we welcome to the stage Kevin Chapman, aka LOLLUJO. There you go. Welcome. Grab a seat.
Oh, we get a sofa each. Very fancy.
So as you know, Football Manager is an addictive game. But to be set a task of playing a game for so long, I need to know, what went through your head?
I just thought it was an opportunity to spend a couple of days playing Football Manager and not have anyone moan at me about doing it for once, which was, you know, having that kind of opportunity, you can't turn that kind of thing down.
That is very true. I'm quite an addictive person when it comes to Football Manager as well. But I need to know, what was going through your head as you was playing the game? Because it's quite a challenge.
I mean, it really varies depending on what stage of the 2 days we were at, because for the first, I was kind of breaking it down into stages. The first 10, 12 hours even, it was just felt like a normal stream, and I was just doing things as I normally would. And then we got to sort of normal-ish bedtime on that first day, and then it just became half Football Manager, half trying to remind myself to stay awake. And by the second night, I would have to watch the tapes back to have any idea what was going on in my head, because I believe it happened because people have told me it happened, but I don't remember much about that second night at all.
I must say, you must be a little bit of a madman to attempt this, but how do you even prepare for such a task? It's hard to prepare for a gaming marathon, especially when you're trying to beat a world record.
Yeah, I mean, I would suggest anyone who ever wanted to do anything like this again would prepare for it a lot better than I did, because, I did a lot of Googling. There was a lot of research, I really focused in on the sleep deprivation side of things. So I think I was pretty prepared for that. I weaned myself off of coffee, so I didn't have a cup of coffee for like 4 or 5 days leading into it. And I am a big coffee guy, but I weaned myself down, so I was ready for the caffeine to have a big impact. I was quite careful about how I planned my nutrition and making sure that I didn't have big meals that made me sleepy, didn't have any sugar to have my blood sugar crash. And that side of things, the stuff I thought to prepare for worked quite well. What I didn't even think about in advance and wish I had was the actual physical impact of having to sit in a chair for 2 days solid. Because I would say by the 30-hour mark, I was done with that chair, and I spent most of the second half of it standing up. And again, just standing on the spot for the best part of a day. My right ankle is still not very happy with me. It's still pretty swollen, and yeah, I probably could have done a little bit more in the just general endurance stuff.
To be honest, now you can say to people that you could have made it pro if it wasn't for your right ankle, so that's a great excuse.
Absolutely, yeah.
So you've already mentioned that coffee was one of the things that you was missing whilst doing this challenge, but I want to know as well, what else do you think you missed quite a bit whilst doing this challenge? Because once you're in it, there's not much that you can do.
Yeah, that was one of the weirdest things about it, because anyone who plays Football Manager knows that it's quite unusual to just be playing Football Manager. It's like the typical thing of you get it on your laptop whilst you're watching the football on the TV, or while you're supposed to be at work, or wherever, but you're always doing something else as well. I've been playing Football Manager since I was a kid, and I've never focused on the game as much as I had to focus on during this. So just that side of things was an experience. I found sides of the game that I've never found before. So that was an interesting one. But also just stuff like, I was aware of the rules of the challenge and how I had to, I wasn't even picking up my phone. I didn't check Twitter. I would get text messages and I'd be aware of them because they'd come through on my watch, and I'd just be like, put that to one side, I'll reply to them when I'm on a break. So it was just weird, kind of, despite being in a hall full of thousands of people making a lot of noise at certain points, especially during karaoke night, I was just kind of locked off just in Football Manager land. So I was very thankful for noise cancelling headphones.
Are you sure you didn't want to sing along at certain moments to any songs?
Sorry, didn't get...
Are you sure you didn't want to sing along to any songs?
I did sing along quite a lot. Please don't watch the Twitch VODs, anybody.
So my next question, right? So we already know that playing a game for 48 hours plus is quite a challenge. But I need to know, was it not a bigger challenge trying to win a trophy with Tottenham?
That was my viewers absolutely stitching me up, because we in the planning stages, we were quite deep into the planning before anyone was like, well, who are you going to manage? I haven't even thought about that. And then somebody had the brilliant idea to do a Twitter poll and ask my audience. And I may have a bit of a reputation for sticking the boot into Spurs as often as I possibly can. So we were like, well, what might be interesting clubs to manage? And because we had to play on the vanilla database, no mods, no data updates, anything like that, we thought, well, let's focus on the clubs that have lost a key player this summer. So we gave the audience the choice of Spurs, but we have to sell Harry Kane, West Ham, but we have to sell Rice, Dortmund, but we have to sell Bellingham, and another one that I don't even remember now. And as soon as they saw Spurs as an option, it won in a landslide, because my chat just wanted to stitch me up. So yeah, we had a few moments. We got to a final in the first season and lost that, with Harry Kane scoring the winning goal against us, which really, really stung. But we got our own back in the second year, because we played them again. Paris Saint-Germain, we played them again in a final in the second year and won that one.
I think that deserves a round of applause, surely.
And then somehow managed to time it so just as we were hitting the target time, it was the FA Cup final, and we had an FA Cup final penalty shootout going on while there was about 30 cameras pointing at me. And I should probably focus on this, but there's an awful lot of people here watching this bit at the moment.
I must say, I'm a Chelsea fan myself, so it was actually quite a tough watch seeing my team lose yet again. But it happens. Now, would you say that the current manager of Tottenham, is there any notes that you should give to him on how to win a trophy?
I mean, he seems to be doing all right. I mean, as much as Tottenham annoy me in general, I actually quite like him. So I mean, we're both old guys. Well, both old guys with beards. We'll compare some notes. If he wants to get in touch, he knows how to find me, and I can help him out. We'll get some Kev ball going at Spurs in real life.
Now, I must know, I'm a massive Football Manager fan myself, and to win a Champions League and an FA Cup within 3 seasons, I think is an amazing feat. Is there anything that you've done tactic-wise to secure those titles?
It was kind of realising what a mess Spurs were in without Harry Kane, because I kind of had an idea in mind of how I wanted to play going in. And I was like, right, I quite wanted to do a 4-3-3, a nice deep lying playmaker. And I looked at that Spurs squad and it was like, oh, we've just got a bunch of big meaty boys in midfield, but they have absolutely no creativity in here at all. So we kind of abandoned that plan, and then I borrowed from Ange and went out and got James Maddison to try and be that creative force for me. But of course, in game, unlike in real life when I think they sold Kane for 100 million and got Maddison for 40 million, I sold Kane for 60 and had to spend 95 million pounds on James Maddison. So once I'd got him, it was very much a case of build the tactic around him to make him look like a 95 million pound player. So we kind of just loaded the midfield with the big meaty boys and then had the 4 attackers do the attacking, and it seemed to work eventually. We didn't win the league, so it didn't work that well.
I must say, if you do need an assistant manager or director of football, I am currently free. But I must also ask about Erling Harland. He seems to have a very good time against your club. Is there a way of stopping him?
No, there isn't. I think that's true in Football Manager, that's true in real life. He is just an absolute machine. What I would say, Evan Ferguson, don't worry about stopping Erling Haaland. Just get Evan Ferguson for yourself when you've basically got Erling Haaland from 3 years ago. Because we actually, at one point, we got nerdy. At one point, we were doing like an attribute analysis between Harland and Ferguson, and I think he's 3-4 years younger than him, and he is literally all of Haaland's attributes, just a little bit further down the age curve. So go by him, and then you don't need to worry about Haaland because they're worrying about Ferguson as well. So he was the star man by a mile.
Well, you've heard it here first. If you haven't put your stock in Evan Ferguson just yet, do it now. But I need to ask a very important question. So we knew that at a certain point during the stream, there was a little bit of technical difficulties. I need to know what was going through your head at that given moment. We just hit the 23-hour mark as that happened as well.
Yeah, we had a power cut. So I'm just there streaming, and suddenly I describe it as everything going bang, and I don't think anything did go bang, but I think it was just the lights slamming off as suddenly as they did. It just felt like something had exploded. It was bizarre, and I kind of just wheeled back in my chair. And at that point, I was like, oh, well, never mind then. And I just assumed we were done. And then suddenly everyone started flying around me, and I just kind of took a step back, got out of the way, and watched the team who were there just... I've never seen anyone run quite so fast whilst uncoiling an extension lead. It was impressive, and how they didn't fall over, I have no idea. But yeah, the fact that I think we only took a 7-minute break for a power cut that involved changing a bunch of cables as well shows just how quickly everyone else sprang into life. And it shows that it was a good idea I wasn't the one who had to resolve that situation, because, like I say, I was just going to wander off and get a burger. I assumed we were done.
That is very true. Now, I also need to know, as I was watching you play, you always seem quite cool, like quite energetic. But was there ever any doubt that you might not be able to accomplish this task?
Not very often. The only time I really, really worried that I might not get through was that second night, because I mentioned before that I was really focused on getting my nutrition right. And I think we had a bit of a discussion about it with my Twitch chat after we resolved it, because I think I messed that up a little bit, because I based my calorie intake on a normal day and then spread my calories out pretty evenly across the day, had a schedule for when I was going to eat, what I was going to eat, and thought that was fine. And for the first day, it was fine. By about 9-10 p.m. on that second night, the room was literally spinning. I could feel my brain shutting down, and I was slumped back in the chair. I was on autopilot, just hitting the space bar, and it got to midnight, and I think it came through as a Twitch chat, which, bearing in mind it was from one of the guys at Joe who was right nearby, but I think it was a Twitch chat, and they were just like, "Do you want your sandwich?" And for a start, I didn't know what a sandwich was. I didn't know what was going on. And I absolutely did not want the sandwich. But they brought it over, and rather than giving me the small sandwich that I asked for, it was a massive sandwich. And I got on autopilot, just ate the whole thing, and it brought me back to life. So I think, and I have learnt this since, staying awake takes more energy than not staying awake, apparently. So rather than planning for a normal calorie intake, I should have added a little bit more. So I'd literally got to the point where there wasn't enough fuel to keep my brain going. And I was saved by a turkey salad sandwich. And from then on, I was fine.
Well, there you have it with that. Now, I must also know, the moment the clock hit it and you knew that you broke the world record, how was you going to celebrate? What did you do?
Well, I thought a little bit of confetti would be nice, but they went a little bit over the top on that. And I got I was genuinely worried I was going to be crushed under the weight of it at one point. But yeah, it was one of those things where the confetti went off and it was like, okay, we've hit the time. But just give me a minute, because we are still in the FA Cup final. So I went full nerd, and I needed to finish the match. And I think I celebrated more when the winning penalty went in than when we hit the time. Everyone else had done their big cheer when the confetti went off and when we hit the time. And I was like, oh yeah. When the winning penalty went in, was like, yes! And no one around me reacted. Everyone else was... I think they were already spent, and I was just a guy in the middle of a room who was the only one cheering. So yeah, I was just happy to win a trophy.
Nice. Well, we also set you another task whilst doing this challenge. We provided you with some Mitchum, which, as you guys may know, offers you 48-hour and more protection promise. Now, do you think it lived up to its challenge?
Absolutely. I mean, I was, and I don't know why I thought this was a good idea. I was wearing for some of the stream, a light-coloured shirt, and I decided that it would be fun to, every time I mention Mitchum, just go, and look, no sweat patches. So there's so many footage of me out there going, look, I'm not sweating still. And I kind of regret the footage, but the deodorant definitely held up, and there genuinely were no sweat patches. So I was... I think when it was first suggested to me that we were going to be doing the Mitchum challenge and trying to prove that the deodorant worked, I was like, am I really the man for the job? Because I'm a sweaty guy. And they were very confident their deodorant was good. And I was like, okay. And then I got here and it was 32 degrees. And again, it was, are you sure you want me to mention the deodorant? Because I don't know that this is actually going to do the job. And it did. So genuinely is some good stuff.
To be honest, I was worried a little bit. I was given the task of having to sniff you after the challenge. And I must say, he did actually smell amazing. So the last thing I must ask before we get to the best part of it all, what would you recommend for somebody that would want to do a similar challenge like you? Of course, hopefully not break your record, let him have a little bit of fun first. But yeah, what would you recommend?
Don't, would be my first. I think just make sure that you prepare for it even better than I did, because it was very much one of those situations where the stuff I thought of to prepare for, I was prepared for really well, but there was so much stuff that I didn't even think of to prepare for. So I think if I were to do it again, I would focus a lot more on actual fitness, endurance stuff leading into it, and I would have had the turkey sandwich a little bit earlier as well.
So let's get to the best part of the day. How about we welcome to the stage the official adjudicator from Guinness Book of World Records, Richard Stedin.
Well, if everyone else is standing up, I suppose I'll stand up as well.
Oh yeah, there you go. So, the moment we've been waiting for. Did Kevin beat the world records?
So, welcome everyone. So the previous record was actually 50 hours. So over the 48, which of course is no easy feat. And there were, of course, some technical difficulties, which did cause a bit of stress. Testament to everyone involved in them, because I can confirm they did actually manage to sort things out in the time. For every hour, they're allowed Kevin's allowed a 10-minute break, and they can accumulate. They managed to actually sort officially that technical difficulty out in 9 minutes. And it was all very close, but with a grand total of 50 hours, 8 minutes, and 13 seconds. Kevin Chapman, you are officially amazing. You are Guinness World Records title holder.
Congratulations!
Hey!
Here is your certificate. Congratulations.
Oh, wow. That is very, very cool. Thank you.
How does it feel to actually have the record in your hands at this moment?
I need a bit of string on it so that I can go around the convention for the rest of the day with it just hanging off me like this, just in case anyone's not clear who was the guy that did it. No, that is really, really cool. Thank you very much. That's awesome.
I'm worried how you're going to be able to walk down the street now, you know, being a world record breaking manager. I'm sure in a few months, Chelsea might actually want to get you a job. How do you feel about that?
I would want something for a bit more job security. I need a longer contract than they can up. One of those playing contracts that they offer would be nice.
Well, massive thank you to Kevin, massive thank you to Richard as well, and massive thank you to Joe and Mitchum for making this all happen. If you haven't already checked it out, make sure that you guys check out the Mitchum products. They're amazing. They offer 48-hour protection promise. And trust me, I'm wearing some right now, and I'm pretty sure I smell good. Yeah.
Get your arm up. There you
If
go.
anybody
See?
wants to smell me afterwards, we can sort that out, so that's totally fine. But yeah, once again, massive thank you to everyone. Thank you guys for watching as well. Hope you guys have a great day.
Thank you, everyone.
Congratulations.
Thank you. Very much.
Ladies and gentlemen, one more round of applause.